Yeah.
Doesn't appear that anyone else is recording. So please let the minutes reflect that no one else has indicated that they are recording this meeting. Okay. So having called the meeting to order, we will go to our appointment 2.1, which is a poll hearing with Eversource. This is a continuation from the last meeting. And for the viewing audience, Eversource is requesting a stub pole be installed on River Road or River Drive across from existing pole number 37-92 to provide new service to an existing customer, which happens to be the North Hadley Sugar Shack.
Correct.
Are you with us from Eversource?
I am. I'm Brandon.
Brandon.
Representing Eversource this evening.
Okay.
Conversation outside. We can actually cancel the subdivisions, just helpful to be came up with an alternative that doesn't require a new pole being placed on the other side of the road. So that
Right.
On that side so that they can.
Okay, well, we appreciate you coming this evening, and then if that's the situation, then I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing with no action.
So moved.
Motion made by Randy, seconded by Amy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Of course, thanks.
Okay, appointment 2.2, which is for Veolia regarding the wastewater management. Carolyn, I believe there may be a change here.
There is a change, and I'm going to let Scott, you want to come up and explain what our next step is, and where there's some of the challenges that we were concerned about last week was the cost involved.
Okay. Welcome, Scott.
Good evening. I received a call from Veolia today. They kind of forward their offer. It's just the staffing. They're looking to entertain more of taking on the whole operation. Just provide staffing to us. They said we're and agency that's supplying temporary staff, and we really want to discuss, data movement system. We do have the document here. I'm not sure how we're discussing that.
Well, I think the information that's important to provide, we understand still the significance and the issues that are there, but we do, after some discussion today and last week, we feel there might be some options in-house that maybe want an opportunity to pursue this. So that's what we'll have a plan in place for you at the next select board meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
That sounds good.
We're going to be talking, it sounds like.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay. And Jennifer, would the minutes reflect that Jane Nevin-Smith has now joined the meeting?
Yes. Hi, Jane. 6:04.
Hello, Jane.
Hello.
Okay. So agenda item 3.1, public comment. So I would ask at this time if there's anybody here who would like to make a public comment. Paul? So you just want to say who you are, yeah? No.
Paul Van, I represent the Jeffrey Properties, actually their place development, used to be called Acreville. And we are in the stages of completing a checklist for the BBW for adopting the street or acceptance would be standard that's being used. And I've made a lot of progress this week on that. And so I'm asking that the select board move with a petition to put us on back onto the warrant for the fall to develop the street. We still have a few things to finish up, but we're possibly the thing with Little Bag is just planting trees. We have 4 lots that are occupied by family. 2, one that's about to close, and the one that is actually going to close later this year. We'll be able to put 6 of the lots that have trees, I believe. There's 2 more that stuff and we'll guide trees there. We'll do that later, and we can always leave an estimate for that. We're still building here, working here, so we'll be here to build that as well as to do that. Lots of people go ahead and actually one. So we know the estimates of trees. That would be the only thing left. requirement. We have Eversource putting the this is being pulled out and she's very clean. We were trying to wait the season so that it wasn't additional, something happened. That we can do it best and have something to do.
So it is public comment, so we can't discuss it, but it sounds like we can take this information under advisement and act accordingly. Okay,
Thank you
all right, thanks, Paul. Is there anyone else here this evening for public comment? For nobody online? Okay. If not, then we'll move forward with the consent agenda. On the consent agenda this evening, we have two contracts for the city of Northampton. One is with for the sealers of weights and measures, an FY25 contract, and also for the municipal hearing officer for FY25. And I believe both of these would be considered renewals.
Mhm.
So moved.
Second.
A motion made by Amy to approve, second by Jane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have Chief Spanknebel with us here this evening. And I believe the chief is going to provide us with an update on the fiber optic project for town buildings. Welcome.
Thanks. So I was asked to come in and there's been some questions about where we're at and then what the actual project is. I've just put together some information so you understand. It's kind of a multi-phase approach project. Obviously, it's been quite a long project, which I'm really happy that I took on. Anyway, so I did write some stuff up for you to make it very clear. As part of the build out of the North Hadley Fire Substation, as part of the project, we needed to do an interconnection between that North Station and the existing center station. And fiber was one of those projects that we have been talking about to make that interconnection. And then looking into it with the new senior center, the new library, existing buildings, the new equipment in the town hall, the new equipment at the DPW for fire monitoring and security monitoring. We felt it might be a good time to actually get the infrastructure of fiber into all of our town hall buildings. So it was approved to be phased in 2 phases. The first phase was the connection between the 2 stations, and then basically it ran down here to the new library and senior center. And then phase 2 was still the remainder of it at the rest of the buildings, town hall, the Goodwin, Hadley Elementary, Hopkins Academy, and then run it all the way down to our radio communications equipment down at the Hanson Mall. And that was the last thing. So that's the infrastructure, the highway of fiber, so the actual physical fiber. And that's where it got confusing even to me about all this. You think you put the fiber in and all you're ready to go, here you go. That is not the case. So the fiber is the foundation of it. And then following that, putting in the infrastructure to send information out and back over that highway. So putting the equipment in each of the buildings for example, one of the projects is, which is the priority right now, which is taking the longest, is our radio communications. So Easttown, you've heard that before, that is our contractor radio equipment company. And we entered in a 5-year lease agreement with them to put in the infrastructure for us to go from basically a receiver sites to repeated sites. Have all of our antennas on like our towers.
Anyway, simply, basically our radio communications have always been a nightmare on the public safety side. So this is the way for us to actually, it's called simulcast. So each one of those sites will be a repeated site, which communicates with each of the other sites. Basically, so when our radio communications are going out or in, it's hitting something very easily. So that's how we did, that was one way that we figured instead of going for an extremely, it would have been, I don't even know how we would have funded it, but we were talking about trying to get a tower up on top of Skinner Mountain, and the costs and the what we would need to do there was just enormous. So this is the stopgap, and we felt very confident by doing heat maps and working with Goosetown, this was going to solve that issue. The issue that we had, which slowed down that process, was first the Route 9 extension. We had all of our fiber in all the way up to the Hampshire Mall, and then it came back that all the poles needed to be relocated. So a new contract had to go out through Mass DOT, which was reimbursed by the state to relocate, come back out. We had to add fiber so now that it would, extend the additional length. So that was all completed. The last part was getting our fiber into the Hampshire Mall. Having met with Verizon, I don't even know how many times, to find that pathway in. There's really no maps of their infrastructure going into the building. We were out there on site lifting up manholes, trying to find where this fiber was going in. We thought we actually had the proper pathway in, and it turned out that was not it. So we did some additional research. We were actually able to find a pathway in through Target to get into Target's IT room. Again, another huge, just so much work to try and get everything completed with that, just for a simple run from Target into where our radio equipment was. And it was just a nightmare. We then were fortunate. Homewood Suites right now has just about completed or has completed their install of a Verizon tower on top of the roof there. I think you guys met on that as well. Their infrastructure is on the same side of where our fiber is actually sitting right now, waiting to go somewhere. And having met with Verizon again, we felt it might be good to abandon our current site at the mall and just run our fiber into the Homewood Suites area. It's a little bit higher of an elevation, an easier pathway. We have a pathway. We weren't hitting all the closed doors and all the just really, really difficult to get into that mall area. So went back, met with Goosetown, and they said, yes, that would be fine. We can get our equipment moved over there, no problem. And so now that is our pathway in, and we're just waiting on Verizon to allow us to get that pathway in there. So their equipment has pretty recently just been installed on the roof. The Parmar family has been more than supportive of this project with allowing us into the building through that pathway, as they always are. They've always been champions of public safety for us. So they're going to allow us to get that equipment in that building as well, which is great. 24-hour facility. So that's where we're at on that final leg for that. The other portion that we have is all of our fire alarms, burglar alarms. Those are all intended to come back to us at the public safety complex, so that we're not paying out individual contracts on monitoring of security and fire alarm. We would do that in-house at our own dispatch center. So that's the other part that we're waiting on now as well, is getting that final equipment into all of the buildings. We now have it installed at our North Station, and it is now installed at our Center Station. So that base equipment is started, and now we're moving into the other buildings. Again, it has been a time, and the companies that are doing it are just, I wish I had a better answer for you, but they're strapped for staff. They're doing the best they can to get the equipment in. So it's ongoing. So those are the two priority projects that we have to get that wrapped up with that fiber. We are now, we are on that mass broadband internet that comes into our Center Station. And we have been testing it in fire to our North Station, Center Station. It's been working flawlessly. And it has now we have gone live with it at the library. But now we just have to get the equipment into the building to start making that interconnection. So that's our next phase. And then the other part, the tough part for us, is the additional equipment that's going to be needed on the computer side. So now we turn all the internet on over our nice shiny new fiber. Now we have to figure out our infrastructure in each one of our buildings, because a lot of it is extremely outdated. and probably won't even support what we're trying to put out. And that's what Kyle Sedano, my firefighter IT, Jennifer, Carolyn, Northeast IT have all been working on and doing an inventory. And then the grant that you folks were talking about, I don't remember the name of it, but Kyle is working on that grant.
Cypress.
So trying to get some funding to actually get some of this infrastructure. So that's that capital plan we're talking about. So basically, in a nutshell, that's where we're at, is we are almost complete with the structure. Then comes the interconnection, some additional equipment for radios, for fire alarm monitoring and security, and then going live with that internet. So I don't know if that made any sense to you, but that's the best way I could tell you. But it is, again, it's been a real bear, but it's every week we are on top of it, especially me.
So is there a goal, a date?
Well, again, my goal was just to get the fiber installed, so somebody else added all the other goals. But I would truly hope that by the end of the year, we will see the monitoring being moved over. I can tell you, we have also started cutting off some of the spectrum, some of our cable. We no longer need, so the North Station is now off of spectrum, so that bill is gone. We've eliminated a number of the spectrum bills in our center station, with more to come off. We still need to keep a couple as a backup, and there's some police equipment that has to run on that spectrum. And then the goal is that hopefully some of these other buildings will be able to come off that as well. The phone systems, when the phone systems go online, we shouldn't have to access internet through Spectrum or Charter or whatever it is now. We should be able to just use our own system and that high-speed internet that we have. But again, that's a process. And then the other part is going to be that capital request or whatever we can't get through grant funding for updating some of the equipment in the building. So for example, the DPW, when we did the first site survey of it, they have equipment that the gentleman that did the survey said he was using when he started in the business, 20 years ago with the rabbit ears. So basically that's the stuff that we're up against. It might not support us bringing this high speed internet in. So that's not something I truly understand, but we have folks that are really, really working hard on that. So I would ask that you bear with us. We are 100% committed to making it happen. It's just nothing seems to be going as quick as we'd like it to.
And do you feel that as you run across obstacles that people are cooperating in terms of moving them so you can keep moving, or?
Some of them have been a bit frustrating, and I won't mention names, but the whole entrance into the mall was extremely frustrating to me, especially with letters coming from myself, which hopefully is how critical this is. There's been the requirement that kind of put a, passing on information to the next person so that they know. So again, follow-up emails, follow-up phone calls, like religiously, not getting a response, and then find out they're retired and pass any information on. That's frustrating. So we've made those new connections. It's just, you're now going to somebody who has no clue what you're talking about. It's like, what happened? Here's the email chain. Here's everything that we've been sharing with one another. And it just went into the black cloud. So that's frustrating. But other than that, like I said, I'm on it. Like every week I'm following up and trying and get this wrapped up. And Kyle is 100% committed because he understands how powerful the system is and the improvements it's going to make, not just to public safety, but to all of our lives in all the different departments. And again, there was equipment shortages, of course, and part shortages. That seems to be, wrapping up a bit. And we were proactive with the North Station project. So we did have equipment that was built out already. So that was good. So I good.
Yeah, thank you
Any other questions?
for your patience.
Yeah, thank you for your patience.
All right, thanks, Chief. Okay, next on the agenda, we have continuation of a conversation we started at our last meeting about a possible solar project on the landfill. And an application that needs to be made to Eversource. So, Michael and Jack, do you want to step up to the table or, and
Questions?
sure, yeah. Okay. So just an update from last week. Jane had asked if could spend a little bit more time with Michael going through the numbers. 'Cause, if you remember at the last meeting, you know, we didn't have a lot of the information in front of us and then there were some questions. So I spent about an hour or so on Monday just walking through the spreadsheet that's part of the material tonight. And so just going to use words first and then maybe we could pull up the spreadsheet. But basically what it appears is that really in order for us to move forward and get hard data to see if this project makes sense at all, that's what, you know, we can't avoid spending the application fee. So what we have at this point is, you know, kind of a stab at what the cash flow would look like. So very simply, there's a fairly significant capital outlay north of 5 million by the time all is said and done in order to make the project happen. By doing that, we would be able to eliminate our ongoing electric costs that are running through all of the budgets, which are a couple $100,000 a year for perpetuity. There is an initial incentive to encourage municipalities to do this. So that would be some additional kind of revenue coming in that would taper off over time. To the extent we produce any excess, there might be some opportunity for revenue generation over the long haul. But then, of course, for a $5 million project, we're incurring debt and interest because we would have to borrow that. So, you know, our debt and interest line item would go up until that project was fully paid off. So I think the preliminary numbers are suggesting that this is something worthwhile, but the payback period, it's not going to be like, here, spend 5 million, you're going to get everything back in 2 years. But again, this is all based on estimates. So in order for us to proceed, we need to decide whether or not we want to try to find, first of all, I mean, you know, it's not in the budget, so we need to try to find the 12,000 or so for the application fee. And then take it from there. So does anybody want to look at the spreadsheet? We can pull it up. If not,
I just want to say one thing about this that I thought about since we have talked. And that is the town is always looking for more sources of income without raising taxes. And here is a source ultimately of income to the town by A, reducing bills, and B, a long-term cash flow once the debt is paid off. So it is, in that sense, a good thing, a really good thing.
And is there a 30% credit off the top of everything that?
Now, with the Inflation Reduction Act, things like that. So the funding has shifted. It used to be that municipalities couldn't get that.
Right.
Now we can.
so it's like 1.7 million, I think, or so. Yeah. That comes back to us to defray the cost
First year. Within the first year.
within the first year, right? Right. And then the other thing that we haven't contemplated either is, and again, I believe built into the, you know, again, preliminary numbers, built into that is an assumption that things are going to break and we're going to need to replace components, you know, over the lifetime. Because again, this is presumably a forever project.
But there are substantial reserves within that pro forma that address
Yeah.
a lot of repairs.
And very conservative in terms of more than one might
Yeah,
actually spend.
we've tried to be extremely conservative in all of our estimates on both the income and the expense side. Until you actually do an application with Eversource, you don't know what rate base you're even going to get reimbursed at exactly with them. So it's an initial process to try to figure out get a much better idea of what the numbers are gonna look like.
And I think, one of the ways I've been trying to look at it is I'm absolutely 100% in on solar for the town. That just makes so much sense. My concern continues to just be like truly the cost benefit of, if we build it, we own it, we have to maintain it, but we get a lot more benefit and certainty than if we were to do some sort of third party contract, right? But the only way we can actually do a real comparison is we've got to spend the money to get the correct figures to put us in a position to do that.
The feasibility study that we did on the Goodwin, we're doing on Town Hall, that we did on Russell School. To get information, it costs us something.
And the concern about repairs and maintenance, I mean, the stuff is, most of the equipment's guaranteed for 25 years, isn't it? So are you talking beyond the 25 years your concern comes in as to maintenance and repairs?
There's mowing. I think there's $40,000 a year in maintenance that's already being assumed in these numbers to 43, or we can look at it to cover mowing and incidental repairs if something happens to the fence to repair that. And then there's also a substantial amount in year 7 or 8 that comes in to be able to replace all the inverters, which are the only part that actually do any work. The panels kind of sit there and get hit by the sun.
Yeah.
Inverters actually convert the electricity.
And they're not warranted for 25
And they
years.
get warm and they deteriorate. So there's money in there to replace them. There's money in there to replace batteries,
What's the typical warranty on the inverters?
I don't know. I know that their typical lifetime is 7 to 10 years.
It looks like they put them in at the 10-year mark.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm a huge fan. I have solar on my house.
Mm.
And I regret that. I haven't paid an electric bill in 3 years. So.
What do you think, Amy?
No, I was just thinking about, expressing for anyone that might be listening, kind of where we're looking at for a break even point, in terms of like a number of years, I'm totally for it. I haven't had an electric bill also since my parents put theirs up, and fed the excess to the farm, which has been nice. But just, for people that might have reserves for it, just like a break even point in years, just to say, we know it looks like a lot upfront, but like you said, 25 years for the life of the panels and I guess for any naysayers out there.
Yes, the pro forma that we have doesn't actually do a break even. A break even is usually when you or I install our systems and we put the cash in and we get that money back after a certain amount of time. In this case, the assumption is you leverage a bond to pay for it. And so in a very real sense, in year 1, it starts generating revenue over and above all your expenses, including the bond payment. So in that sense, it's generating positive revenue from year 1 on. But yeah, so, and if you look.
Yep.
Do you want to show the numbers?
We did last time. I'm actually just looking at board docs and I think the email got attached if it. Yeah, we can open it up. Yeah. It'd be the cash flow tab, Jennifer. No, in the, with the email chain that. Yeah, the first one that says external pre-application. And then right in there embedded, there's a Google Docs Excel spreadsheet. Want me to come up?
No,
Oh,
sorry, just was.
No pressure.
I promise I'm fully good. It's here.
Okay. Yeah, and the second tab is the cash flow. Thank you.
Or is that good?
Fingers
That's
crossed.
good. Yeah, so what it's, you know, the initial column is the estimate of what that solar field might put out, right? In terms of energy. And then the electricity savings would be, you know, based on our actual usage right now. And again, some of these numbers are a little bit soft. I mean, this is what was budgeted. But that would be a bill that we would no longer be paying, basically. And then the Massachusetts Smart grant incentives, or I should say revenue incentives, so that the green would be money coming in. Okay. And then if we go all the way across that last gray box there, you see that was what Randy was talking about, the tax benefits. So again, to reiterate what I think Jack said, it used to be that municipalities could not take advantage of this. So this was an incentive at the federal level to encourage municipalities to start these initiatives to move to solar. So now that would be actual cash coming back into the town.
And the other thing about that is, it used to be because towns didn't, it was only given as a tax rebate, towns don't pay taxes, so you don't get anything. So towns would partner with a commercial business, and then the business would benefit from that, and the commercial business would sell the town the energy, but they would keep their own profit. So owning it yourself is what this is showing.
And then moving over to the right where you see the estimated insurance, estimated operations and maintenance. So it's kind of interesting how they formatted the numbers on this, but basically it's about 30,000 estimated in insurance and another 24 or so. So about 54,000 that they're assuming, again, whether it's insurance, you know, mowing, whatever, that we would have to budget for. And then again, the loan, they're assuming a 20-year loan at about a 3% interest rate, which might be a little bit more attractive than what we could actually get right now. But again, hopefully rates will start coming down. And again, none of this has been discussed with the treasurer or anything. That we're just trying to get a rough sense. So you can see that, you know, there would be an expectation of a borrowing. That borrowing would likely be a 25-year borrowing. And then so to Amy's point, it starts showing the cumulative savings in that last column. So again, cautionary tale. And I think that was the point that Michael was trying to make at the last meeting. This is, yeah, you hate to spend $12,000 if we don't move forward with the project. But we don't even know if we should move forward with the project if we can spend the money.
Do you know the rate we're paying as a town for kilowatt hour?
Yeah, it's on there. That is correct.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
That's our, whatever they call it, the
Electrical aggregation.
aggregation. Thank you.
And that will be renewing in the towards the end of the year.
So Molly, how does the select board ask for this money?
Well, what I'm wondering, pose the question to Carolyn, if we took a vote and say that the select board wants to move forward with this, can we make it subject to you working with the financial management team to find?
Yeah, we could look at any budget line item that could reflect this. You know, there is the reserve fund transfer, which is for usually to cover extraordinary or unforeseen expenditures. Whether that would fit with unforeseen, I'm not really sure, but we would certainly explore what options you guys would have. And probably most likely I would recommend bringing the finance committee into the discussion as well.
Okay, I make a motion. We vote $12,500 to fund this.
Before you do that, last week a question came up if our Green Communities grant can cover it. And we posed that question to Chris Mason, who was a representative of Mass DOER.
Yep.
And he said, no, it will be covered.
Yeah.
Maybe we thought so, and he confirmed that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So motion.
I will second Jane's motion.
Okay, motion made by Jane, seconded by Randy to approve approve moving forward with this subject to finding a funding source.
Mhm.
Any further discussion on the topic?
I mean, I think if you look at, we know it's gonna cost us 5 million initially, and then with a loan, it's gonna cost us, 7.4 million. But even still looking at the cumulative savings, I'm seeing that it's essentially 150%, right? Because you're getting back everything that you put into it plus an additional 2.34 million. So I think it's worth it.
Molly, can I
Please
just
find out.
at this point, the other option is special town meeting. So is there a time sensitivity to this?
The sooner the better, from what I understand, because there's going to come a time when enough people have applied to be in this section of the improvement of the grid with Eversource, that they're going to say, okay, that's full now. So we would miss the boat, so to speak.
Okay, so I will look, but that may be an option that I may have to bring back to you. And I can double check with Eversource if, what's that? Is there a line of people waiting to do this?
Okay, motion made by Jane, seconded by Randy. If there's no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Okay. So 4-0. Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for all the work on it. Okay, next item on the agenda. Let's see, the strong Town Administrator Committee. So Jennifer had reported that, so if you recall, this was the committee to work with the Collins Center to review Hadley's charter, or I should say lack of a charter. So we follow Mass General Law in terms of our form of government. So myself and David Phil, we previously appointed to be the select board representatives, and then we were looking for another 5 members of the community that would have some experience with town government in some way, so they've interacted, whether they've previously served on a committee themselves or, they go to a town meeting a lot, whatever they feel their own relevant experience would be. So to date, we've only had one community member submit a letter of interest, and then a sitting board member just recently submitted a letter of interest. So I don't think we're doing a good job getting the word out. One of the things that was suggested is strong town administrator committee. Doesn't sound like something that people would be jumping up and down to be on. So, maybe we should refer to it as a charter review committee or Hadley form of
I
government
think
committee.
I advertise it as a government. I don't even know if I use the strong, but we could definitely do better. But I agree, we should make sure that's consistent, that term for the committee is consistent.
Right.
I thought Joyce was gonna join. Didn't she say that as like her final thing? Here,
She's on the ambulance. Well, we mentioned it to her, but she didn't.
I
so,
thought she was
yeah,
in on that.
I'm happy to reach out to Joyce and ask her.
Yeah, I think you might want to review who the Collins Center had recommended and not recommended and decide whether you want to tweak any of that.
Right. Yeah. Again, just a reminder from the original report we had from them, they were suggesting that we not have anybody who is a municipal employee or board member, committee member who might directly benefit from the outcome of this. Like they're trying to avoid that. But that said, we still want to absolutely make sure whoever's on the committee that we're engaging with all of those parties who know how things work. I mean, that only makes sense. So, you know,
Wouldn't we all technically directly benefit from it?
yeah,
Technically,
yeah, I mean, I think it was more along the lines of,
Salary,
department head or, that kind of
paid
thing.
people.
But
So the committee isn't doing anything yet because it doesn't exist yet.
the goal was to kick this off. I believe the Collins Center thought that we could start this maybe in September.
We're getting
September,
close.
October timeframe. So we still have a little bit of time.
So would you like a motion to
We don't
appoint these two people, or do we want to wait and see if there are other
Yeah,
takers?
no, I think we wait and see what more interest we get. That's okay with everybody. And then maybe try to put word out.
fine with me.
Or it goes from explicitly with the name of the kids.
Mhm.
If I give the explicit name, I'll make a new flyer and give me a new deadline for advertising. It always helps to be able to tell people when you want it.
It was supposed to be due Friday, so we have been giving the due date. Yeah. I think when we're posting any other language we use, we agree. And I think I had it in the ad. It was government, some form of government or something. So we'll make sure it's consistent, especially when we post as well.
And when would y'all like the deadline for new potential members?
End of August.
So if your August 21st meeting, so can we say the 19th? Meetings on the 21st, that's 2 days before the posting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, Human Resource Project Coordinator position. So again, where we left off on this, we had a lot of discussion about how this job might be graded and the salary that we were kind of willing to offer up for this. So the board directed myself and Carolyn to go follow the process of the classification study point system and grade the position. So Carolyn and I did that. Our scoring came out pretty close. And it primarily because of the human resource skill set and weight of that job, it is coming up as being graded as B level, so very similar to, so basically where the HR director position was before. It didn't have as many points in that, but based on that, it would appear that if we follow the process that we've adopted, that the salary range for this would be in $80,000 to $90,000 to advertise. So it doesn't preclude, as Carolyn and I were talking in spirit of thinking, I think David Phil made the point at a previous meeting. If somebody does apply for it and perhaps they don't have all of the skill sets that we're looking for, but they seem like they have a lot of promise. Well, if they don't necessarily meet the criteria of that job, that would allow us to bring it back to a lower grade level if we wanted to.
So how do you advertise a job? When you advertise a job, do you say salary or do you say salary commensurate with experience?
You should put in a range, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically this grade, the salary range is actually goes up just north of 100 on this range.
And where does it start?
80. Yeah.
But I think to your concern, if I'm hearing you, Jane, you're concerned that for what Molly just said, if we get somebody that applies for the job but doesn't meet the qualifications, but they say, but you said the job pays 80,000 to start, but we would come back with, but you don't have all the qualifications we're looking for, therefore we're willing to offer you this because of that.
Yeah, we would have to modify the job description accordingly as well and say,
Well, wait,
you're right. I mean, it would have to line up with
with their skills.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I think this presumption is we're looking for somebody with HR experience, otherwise.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would modify the job description because of the candidate. I would expect the candidate to get up to speed to the job description within a certain period of time. Because the job description is, as we remember going through, the Collins Center stuff was, this is what we would expect from this position, and your experience will put you on the scale. So if we're going to hire someone that doesn't exactly fit the job description, then the expectation would be in a certain period of time that they would at least hit the level of the description.
And in that case, they'd be starting at that 80.
A low, yeah, at the lowest, step one per se.
So what's the next step?
If it's the pleasure of the board to approve this, then I know Carolyn is anxious to get it posted.
I would agree, posting it with the range, and then depending on what we get for candidates, then later deciding their step.
So do we need to move to approve this job description
And pay range.
and pay range?
Were there changes to this?
Oh, no, this is the one that we had in our previous meeting. We had that red line version, so this is the same.
Okay, so then I will move to approve the HR director / project coordinator job description final draft as written, and post for hire at the discussed salary range, 80 to 90,000. Is that correct?
Second?
Motion made by Amy, seconded by Jane. Any further discussion?
I'm good.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, post it, please.
Will do.
I have a feeling it'll be a priority.
How you think? All right.
Okay, next on the agenda, executive session minutes release. So tonight we're going to take a vote to release the following executive session minutes as appropriate. In some cases, portions of these minutes may be redacted based on recommendation from council. But the executive session minutes are from the meeting dates of January 5th, 10th, 19th, February 16th, March 2nd, 11th, June 1st, 15th, July 13th, August 3rd, October 5th, and 19th, December 7th, and December 13th, all from calendar year 2022.
Motion to approve.
Second. Sorry, second.
And the motion,
Lists all of those by dates.
but it's to release in accordance with
In
the
accordance
recommendation.
with
from the
recommendation.
attorney.
Sorry, as appropriate.
Mhm.
Okay, so sorry, motion made by,
Jane, second
Jane.
by me.
seconded by Amy. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, Jennifer. Okay, under new business, item 6. We have just been made aware of the fact that there will be a vacancy on the planning board. I did have a conversation with Bill Dwyer today about this, and it seems appropriate that the planning board hasn't met to talk about this yet. So I think the thought would be to just let people know that there is going to be some discussion about the planning board vacancy. And I believe at their next meeting, the planning board is going to talk amongst themselves and then discuss a process that they would recommend be followed in terms of timeline and all of that other stuff. But under Mass General Law, when there is this type of a vacancy, it's actually a joint appointment, just like we did with the Board of Health previously. So this will be coming back to the select board, but just seems like we should give the planning board an opportunity to have a discussion about their own board first and then bring it back when they're ready. They'll let us know when they want to come.
Do we have a deadline on the letters of interest?
No, because like I said, the planning board hasn't talked about it yet.
Okay.
So, So more to come. If you're
Information.
interested, you can watch the next planning board meeting, because I'll be talking about sealers of weights and measure, oh, that we don't need to talk about.
No,
Sorry.
Is this the thing they keep sending me things to sign?
please don't sign those.
And I got more today.
Yeah.
Email, the project director of Hampton and ask her to hit pause on that. I thought I would be very much always.
So I think it would be nice if we get anything other than from our accountant, that somebody wants us to sign, if you or Carolyn would email us and say, this is legit or this is not legit.
But they don't know because they don't
They didn't
see.
even-
They don't-
Molly let me know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I texted
Yeah,
Ned.
if you want to let me know that you received it, I can,
Okay.
well, unfortunately, you have to reverse it,
Gotcha.
but
Okay.
if you want to forward that email to me, that would.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Next item on the agenda. Carolyn is going to present her proposed goals for FY 2025 for consideration.
All right, I would like to continue the goal from the last year, last 2 years about communication and transparency. Is to continue to be proactive and thorough by implementing a communication plan, communication channels and policies to promote transparency, community dialogue with various stakeholders, municipal employees, volunteers, and elected officials. It really continues to be the biggest challenge, whether it's all the things I mentioned, like what's a plan, policy. So I really would like to continue, and I know that Molly and I have it on our to-do list, but we really haven't had a chance to start with that. So I'd like to continue that. Just enhancing our fiscal position, work with the finance manager to review town financial policies, analysis, and long-term planning to ensure a solid financial position for the town, which will help support and sustain a strong AAA bond rating. And I can refer you, I think you got an email from Linda today, and that's what we're going to be working on together, because it is time for to be working on our bond rating. There is a lot of value in the scoring of that AAA bond rating on policies and procedures that the town follows. So we just want to update some of those as well. And then this is I just think it's really important that there be a focused effort on our 3 buildings, Russell School, Goodwin, and Town Hall. Some of them have funding and a plan in place. Goodwin, we need to revive I think I talked to you guys earlier about that, maybe looking at Goodwin and Town Hall as a possible area to use the funding that was not spent on the renovation for Goodwin because it became so expensive, but to keep that money intact to do an updated version of what the needs are for employees and for space and for workflow. Jennifer helped me do a count we have 8 new employees since that last one was done in 14th, which all need space, and we are desperately running out of space and storage space and meeting space. So I'd really like to focus on that and make sure those projects get done, because that center of town is really a jewel. And so I really want to work on that and maintain that.
Carol, should you also keep the organizational
Chart?
Yeah.
Sure.
Making recommendations for succession planning, key positions.
Yeah.
Yes. That's, the succession plan. I did get an email from the Collins Center, because that succession plan is really going to be key in how we move forward, even with space needs as well.
So we don't have a full board here tonight, and so does it make sense to kind of take these under advisement, and then we can talk about them at another meeting when David's here? Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Okay. All right, thanks, Carolyn.
You're welcome.
Moving right along, town administrator report. Look at that.
Oh, and of course I just clicked out of board docs. Okay. Okay. So right now that assistant chief wastewater, that is the discussion you've been having with Scott. And so there is no other positions right now that HR is pursuing. We have for UPSEU with the town, what we're calling the town hall, it says municipal clerk unit, that's in process. The next meeting is scheduled for August 2nd. We'll meeting with the fire union tomorrow. Let's see. Chief just gave you an update on the finance, on the fiber project.
Yep.
I'm just going to skip down to procurement. You did that got attached, right? Your attachment of the procurement. Oh, you didn't. It's such a nice chart. We'll have it next time.
I can pull it up. It's everybody.
Yeah, well, and we'll get it on there. So the DPW building committee, we're still in that, I think I've explained that the estimates came in with the OPM that we first worked with and went back and forth with Weston and Sampson. And I think there's gonna be some conversations about clarifying schematic design and what's needed and the cost of the OPM. So that really right now is, we need some more information to bring back to the board on that. And Hockenham Cemetery fence. I'm waiting to hear from the attorney because the two attorneys were supposed to meet to review the scope of work. We all had met together and they were going to go back to see what the next steps were going to be. The two attorneys were going to agree and then we would see that. I haven't seen that yet, so I don't have any further update. The columns are completed, but the railing was damaged. And so we are talking back and forth and vacation schedules have conflicted to find out who's going to own that repair and what's the next step with the repair. It's one of those things you just can't fix. It's one of those very old railings. So the town hall consultant engineer architect for the windows and exterior restoration and repair and the stairs outside, those contracts are being prepared and submitted. So we are in process and moving forward. Still waiting to hear from the grant that I wrote for the windows. I'll let you know when that happens. No update yet on the report that we should be getting from, I'm just sorry, I'm having a brain freeze with, not Weston Sampson. I forgot the engineer's name, my apologies. So I have no update on that. And the 234 Middle Street, we did some more back and forth with documents that needed to go to the attorney and going to the seller. Those all, I think we've signed them all, you've signed them all, and it's all ready to go. So we're just waiting for a closing date. And then just a reminder, the Purple Heart event is going to take place on August 7th from 2 to 3 at the Senior Center. If you guys can make it, that would be great. I think we agreed that to have Joyce come back for that so she can attend that and participate. And I've invited both our legislators. Senator Comerford does have a conflict and was very sorry about that. But Representative Dan Carey will be in attendance. So I've been working with Steve Connors, Rebecca, Nikki, and Dan Noy, our veteran service agent. And so it's going to take place here. It's going to be, 2 to 3, and I think it's going to be a really nice event. We have our signs that are going to go up. So I'll probably confirm with you and with the board and Scott where we're going to put those signs. And then we also have ordered a flag that will go up. We'll take the town flag down temporarily that morning, and for a week we'll have the Purple Heart flag go up. So
Do we have to vote on that? Just because we made a flag policy?
this is special.
We made a policy. I'm just asking.
Everything can be considered special.
It's a town program.
Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt to take a vote if we want to, right? If we want to be squeaky clean.
I think it would be squeaky clean and we should.
Okay, you want to make a motion, Jane?
I move that we fly the Purple Heart flag for a week.
That's not on the agenda.
Oh, we can't do that. Okay,
I can add it to your agenda for,
too late. When's our meeting? August 8th, right?
Yeah, August 7th, yeah.
Yeah, we can't do it.
No vote for,
No votes. All right.
okay. That's right.
the procurement chart is in there now, when I moved it over.
Oh.
Just so you know.
Is that it, Caroline?
That's it.
Okay. All right, any liaison reports?
Yeah, I do. I'm just trying to, actually, Kathy Nelson's here, yes?
It was, yeah.
Okay, so the green community thing and the LED lights, the return payment back on those is ending December 31st. So can Kathy talk to that, please? I only heard about it today and I haven't had time to really check it out.
Is it an item that needs to have deliberation between the board?
No, it's just a report from the liaison asking the person to talk in my stead.
Oh,
I
what are you
would,
gonna check out?
I would just have a report for next time then,
Yeah.
if you can't give it today.
Okay,
Yeah,
It would just limit your discussion. If you wanted to have more discussion or questions and answers, you really need to have that as an
all
agenda.
right, I'll just
item.
make the statement that the rebates on LED lights is ending December 31st of this year.
Okay,
Okay.
And if we're doing anything, we should really consider it.
that's why we need to wait till next.
yeah,
time.
and so could we have Kathy on for
Mhm.
Next
an
time.
agenda item?
Perfect. Thank you.
Or Jack.
Thanks,
He knows
Kath.
just as much about it as I do, but anyway, I'm happy to talk next time. That's fine.
Okay, that sounds great. Any other liaison reports? No, if not, announcements. I have one. So just in terms of, behalf of the select board, I'd like to express condolences, to the family of, Jim Smola, who passed, unexpectedly and very recently, so. Sending, well wishes to his parents, Ed and Joan, and also his sisters. Randy?
On Saturday, September 7th, 2024, at the Wildwood Elementary School, 21 Strong Street, Amherst, is Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day for Hadley, Amherst, Shrewsbury, and Pelham. And there is a large list of things that they will accept. And you have to register online. The registration does open. And where do we find this? Do I have to read this whole? It's on the front page of the town website. Thank you.
There is a fee to dispose of your toxic waste. Just don't be surprised.
Right. Okay, anything else? Okay, otherwise, the board will be taking a vote to move into executive session.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to move into executive session pursuant with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation. If an open meeting law may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the town body for the compensation study, the municipal employee union and firefighter union and employees appeals. And we will not be reconvening in open session.
Second.
Chair of the Select Board, I state that the board has moved and seconded to enter into executive session. And I state that discussing the matter in open session would have a detrimental impact on the bargaining position of the town of Hadley. We will not be reconvening in open session. Jennifer, roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Isaac?
Yes.
Beacon?
Yes.
Davidson?
Yes.
And Carson?
Yes.